Hey everyone, so I have some garden tasks to do today that are keeping me inside. I need to pot up the seeds that I started about a month ago, so the gomphrena seeds, a couple morning glory I'll talk about in just a second. And I forgot, I think I started some asters. I can't remember the other variety of seedlings, but the majority of them are gomphrena. So they're still sitting in their original little pods, little peat pellet pods that they were growing in, and I need to get them sized up. I also need to start my next and final round of seedlings today, which is mid-April, and then that way they'll have about a month of growth, and I'm hoping I won't have to repot those before I move those outside. But that's gonna be a majority of my zinnias, possibly a couple melon plants, and whatever else it is that I have on my little schedule of things that I'm gonna start inside. I'll also go over the seeds that I have that I'm going to start outside as well, just to give you an idea of which ones I'm gonna start indoors versus outdoors. A lot of that is based on the seed packet, what it recommends itself. Some of it's just based on my own preferences. But first thing I wanna talk about is something where I have no idea what I'm doing. And that is, these are the 2 morning glories that I started with the set of seeds with the gomphrena. I only started 2, I believe these are the ones with the blue flowers. I have other morning glories that have like deep purple flowers. And so basically, after the holidays are over and we're kind of into the new year, early January, and we have 3 more months of cold and darkness, I go a little stir crazy and I start going online and looking up random things, going down garden related rabbit holes that lead me to very interesting places. So one of those places was pictures of people growing morning glory indoors. And I'll post some of them here so you can see what I was looking at. And you know, February, when it's still dark at 4 p.m. and freezing, I think to myself, I should do that. And now when I'm actually doing it, I'm wondering if I'm going to regret this or not, but there's only one way to find out, and that is to actually do it. So I have this, I think it's a 10-inch terracotta pot. This is the one that had the squishy iris bulb in it, so I did end up pulling that one. I finally admitted to myself that it did not survive the winter. I have in here a tomato cage. So I'm growing fewer vegetables this year. I don't think I'm gonna need all the cages that I have out in the garden, so I decided to put it in here. This is probably about, I don't know, a little over 2.5, maybe 3 feet. And I'm just going to put this underneath the grow light. I'll show you where I'm keeping it for now. I might move it near a window later. I might just keep it under the grow light. I'm not really sure. So I don't really know what I'm getting into. I don't know how it'll work, but as you can see, the morning glory is growing and winding itself up the branches. I'm hoping it's something that I really like, but who knows if I'm gonna ever try it again. I do know that when the flowers start to bloom, if it gets that far and survives, I'll probably have messes to clean up every day from the flowers falling off or seeds falling everywhere, but at least that way, it's not like they can become invasive indoors and spread around. Which leads me to a question I have for anybody who has experience growing morning glories. So I just really love how they look. I've never grown them before. And when I've talked about how this is gonna be my first year growing them in my container garden, people's responses are making me terrified that it's going to get everywhere, it's gonna choke my other plants. So if you have any experience growing morning glory, my garden is obviously all containers. There's no like ground or soil for it to fall onto and sprout that way. It could potentially fall into other containers, but I am planning to keep the 2 containers I'm gonna have morning glory in at least a few feet away from anything else. Other things I read online, for example, don't reuse the dirt that it's growing in, just throw that soil away, act like it's contaminated. And then I also have people that say it's not really that bad. So let me know if you have any experience with it, and then I'll see if I just go ahead and try it anyway outdoors, but at least indoors, I'm not quite terrified for that same reason. So that is what I'm doing with morning glory. I will keep you updated as I see how this turns out. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take the seeds that I need to pot up first, and then we'll go ahead and sow the new seeds. Okay, I'm changing the order of operations because I realized the potting soil I need to pot up the flowers is downstairs. I don't feel like going down and carrying it up yet. So I'm gonna start first with the seeds that I have to sow. I'm just using the same peat pellets that I used last time. So I talked more about how to use these and the specifics in the first seed sowing video, so I'll link that below. But again, I really do love these. I've been using them for 3 years now since I've been starting seeds. And so total, I'm gonna have 4 of these seed trays that I'm starting inside. For me, that's a lot of seeds. This is the most I've ever started inside. I know for the majority of gardeners, this is probably a fraction of what they start, but a combination of one, my garden not being huge, and two, not having a ton of space or a good enough setup to start a bunch of seeds. Now I do feel like kind of every year I'll just start more and more until it completely takes over our home. We'll see how long that takes to happen, but for now I think starting with just 4 of these will be enough. So I'm going to fill these with water, and then I will go over the seeds I'm going to start this round. I have my box of seeds here, and I also have my Google Drive doc pulled open with the spreadsheet of what I'm going to start. So quick rundown, here's what I started already. China Aster Blend, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 varieties of Gomphrena, and a straw flower double tall mix. That's the one I forgot. In the seeds that I'm sowing today, I had on my list rhubarb, but that was just in case the 2 that I had overwintered didn't come back, and they will survived and are coming back, and that's great because rhubarb, you can't really start harvesting a ton until about the 3rd year. So if I didn't have them survive the winter, I'd have to start all over from year 1. So I'm going to cross rhubarb off the list. And then I have Hannah's Choice Cantaloupe, which I forgot that I had ordered. I grew melons last year. I wasn't really planning on growing this year, but for some reason I ordered them anyway. So cantaloupe is my favorite fruit. I'm going to try that potentially on the back deck. We'll see. I have Giant Dahlia Flowered Mix Zinnia, the Cinderella Peach Zinnia, the Oklahoma Pink Zinnia, and then the Benary's Giant Mix Zinnia. The only one I grew last year was the Benary. Those were the ones that got over 5 feet tall that I had in my center raised bed. So really it's just 1 variety of cantaloupe, 4 varieties of zinnia, and then the plants that I'm going to be sowing outside. So I have on my list tricolor carrots, which I already sowed this week or last week, time doesn't matter anymore. Heirloom Morning Glory, Rainbow Nasturtiums, Hybrid Okra, Moulin Rouge Sunflower, Chocolate Cherry Sunflower, Sunrich Summer Province Sunflower, and Strawberry Blonde Sunflower. So all of those I'll be sowing outside probably around May 15th, usually mid-May after Mother's Day or after my birthday is when we're safe enough to actually start the seeds outside and hopefully not get any more snow or freezing temperatures. So now I will go ahead, I need to pull out the seeds that I'm going to sow, and we'll get them planted. All of the seeds are now sown. I did end up adding the nasturtiums in as well, and this is my first time ever planting nasturtiums. I didn't realize how big the seeds were, and also they kind of look like teeny tiny brains. So I added those in because there were some zinnias that only had, a handful of seeds, so I couldn't plant as many different pods as I wanted to, but for the most part, I think I planted 12 each of the majority of the varieties. I only did 4 of the cantaloupe because I don't need that many, and then I did 8 of the Benary giant zinnias because I had those last year, so it wasn't a fresh seed pack, and there just weren't a ton left. But now I'm going to move these into a warm spot in our house out of direct sunlight until they sprout. Alright, so I'm ready to start potting up the seedlings that I started last month. I did have to get some more nursery pots. I think I said before that usually I have nursery pots from other things I've already planted and enough saved, but I need 72, and I did not have 72 nursery pots. So I think these are from Vivo Sun, and I just got a pack of 100. But like I said already, I'm hoping that just this round of seeds will have to be planted up, because these have been growing for about a month. The ones I just planted will be growing for about a month before they're actually ready to move outside. So hopefully I can just move those outside from the peat pellets that they started in. But these, the roots are starting to come out of the bottom. So I need to pot these up and then also thin them as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So to pot these up, I'm just using potting soil that I have in a bag inside. I'm going to fill each of these little containers. I'm going to take the peat pellet and this little paper on the outside, it's already starting to dissolve, so you can pull it off if you want to, but you don't have to. And because there's roots growing through the little paper, I don't want to tear off the root and then, or sorry, tear off the paper and then accidentally tear a root. So I'm just going to take it and plop it right in here. So there we go. That is one of the straw flowers potted up. I'm going to hopefully keep the labels with the correct set of pots. In fact, maybe I'll draw on the pot themselves. I need to find my marker. Got my marker, and I'm just going to write straw on it so I know what it is. Did you guys ever, either you or your parents, I remember my parents stored a bunch of stuff in cardboard boxes, and they would write what it was, and then when it was replaced, cross it off, and there would be like 10 different listings of things crossed off from what had been in there. So maybe that's what I'll do with these nursery pots. I'll write what's in it now. Next time I pot something else into it, I'll just cross it off and add a new name. Now there will be a mess, because I always make a mess when I pot stuff up, but I'll go ahead and kind of speed through this process, get these potted up, and then we'll go ahead and get them watered. The straw flowers and all the China asters. The gomphrena doesn't actually look like there's too many roots in these little pellets. So I think what I'm going to do is leave these in the pellets so far, and then I will go ahead and just thin them and then put them back under the grow light, because they're still at a good height for where the grow light is as well. So that is what I'm going to do now with the gomphrena. Everything is now thinned. I always find thinning seedlings one of the hardest things to do, but they look much better now, have more space to breathe, and it is going to be better for the plant. Here's everything that I potted up. So what I'm going to do now is water everything with a little bit of fertilizer included. The last thing I'm going to do today is, like I said, water these in with fertilizer. I'm using the Fox Farm Grow Big, and it's exciting because it's a brand new bottle for the year, so the first time using it this season. And typically I'd say most fertilizers have instructions on the back for seedlings. You're going to dilute it much more for seedlings than you will for established plants, but this one says a ½ teaspoon per gallon of water once a week. So I have my 2-gallon watering can, so I put a whole teaspoon in it since it's 2 gallons. So we'll water these in, and then I think we will be done with garden tasks for today. Just to show you where things are, so I have the morning glory here, right underneath this grow light. Then the gomphrena and a couple of the seedlings are still under the lights, and then the other seedlings I just put right here in front of the window. Here's the dahlias I'm storing inside, and the elephant ear plant. I'm looking forward to the day when all of these can live outside. So that was everything I had on my to-do list for today. It took just a couple of hours to get things, rearranged, repotted and all that, but it feels good to get back into the swing of things. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.